It's all about our mental attitude.
You're listening to the 108 Days of Chanting podcast, a show where we aim to understand who we really are so we can more effectively move towards what we want. My name is Chaitanya Das, and I'm a husband, a father, and an inspiring devotee, best known for not being known at all. I'm sitting down with interesting people to talk about their story, the lessons they've learned, and what it really means to be happy.
So yesterday I was talking to a friend. This is a friend that I appreciate very much. I appreciate his feedback. I appreciate his stake in life. I know he is very much spiritually inclined. So every time we have conversations, inevitably we are talking about um, devotional subject matters, right? And most importantly, we talk about devotional subject matters that are very much related to our day-to-day activities. He's a young man. He has a job. He has a girlfriend, right? I have a wife. I have family. And what attracted me to Krishna consciousness, what attracted me to this Vedic philosophy, was the fact that I found it very practical. I found it very a science, as Srila Prabhupada, the one that brought Krishna consciousness in a very significant way to the West. He presented as the science of self-realization. And in this conversation with my friend, he was sharing with me that he was going through some, financial struggles. He was going through some career struggles. He is educated, right? He has a degree. He's a professional, and he was having some struggles, and in the past few months. But in the past few months, he has found a job, and using his words, he mentioned that there was actually Guru and Krishna's mercy. He was struggling so much, and he got their mercy because he found a good job. It was a good job in his field. He felt like he was able to restart his career, right? And it was funny because while we're talking about this and we're talking about the pull of material life, how sometimes it's difficult to reconcile our material life with our spiritual life. And as I mentioned, he's a very spiritually inclined person, has strong faith in Guru, Krishna, the Vaishnava philosophy. He was sharing with me that he's been in this job, I think, for 3 months, and time has gone by so fast. And one of his fears is that he doesn't want to spend his life working so hard, putting so much effort and energy in a career or something that is not really it's going to benefit him spiritually. He's recently been to a temple, right, to a community in the Northeast. There's a very nice newly established community there in the Northeast with a lot of young brahmacharis, young celibate monks. Um, they are running the program there. They're doing preaching every day. They're going out to do sankirtan, to do preaching in the streets, and they do deity worship and classes. And he felt very much inspired by the work that they're doing. Right, these young men and women getting together there to immerse themselves in this practice of bhakti, practice of Krishna consciousness, to live a God conscious life, a Krishna conscious life. And he mentioned to me that, again, he has this concern that he might be working so much, and that might steal time from him. And I'm paraphrasing here, hopefully I'm not putting words in his mouth, but it might take away from him this opportunity to go deeper on his practice, on his sadhana. And I shared with him that I find it interesting that he has that opinion, because I used his words, not against him, but I used his words to present my point, because he did share with me in the beginning of our conversation that he was having issues, financial issues, right? He was struggling financially. He was having trouble, I guess, engaging in his career, in his profession. And he considered, once he found this new job, which is a good paying job, is in his area, right? He feels like he can reboot his career. And when he found his job, he considered it Guru's mercy, Krishna's mercy, that he was in a position of struggle, and that opportunity came, and now he finds himself, having a good job, a good pay, and he presented like that. I'm not saying it. He presented like that. He saw it as Guru's mercy. And at the same time, in the same conversation, he was looking at that same opportunity as an obstacle um, to him, as an obstacle to him when it comes to him engaging in his spiritual life, in his spiritual practice. And it was interesting that he mentioned that he was struggling with that because, and I mentioned to him, but the struggle is in the mind. I think that we give the mind too much space and we have these false expectations. And what I mentioned is, it's funny to me that you're saying that because you just mentioned, I'm using your words, that you considered your new opportunity Krishna's mercy, Gurudev's mercy. They saw your struggle and opened up this opportunity where you can engage in your career, where you can get good pay, and you felt the opportunity maybe for you to reboot your career. And at the same time, maybe because you're very much spiritually inclined and you had this opportunity with your God brothers, and being immersed in that temple environment, in that ashram environment, you felt a little discouraged because you feel like that material life can take away from that experience, right? Or slow down the process of you engaging in that way. And I think that it's important for us, especially for young men, young women, right, in their spiritual life, as they are inclined to work and they're inclined and they, in a lot of times, have to engage in material life, to pay attention to their mental attitude towards everything. Because, as I say, using his words, he was looking at something that he initially considered Guru's mercy, Krishna's mercy, as an obstacle to his advancement. And I think there's a more productive way to look at the job as service in itself. Because, according to his own words, that opportunity was given to him by Guru, by Krishna. That was a blessing that he received from his Guru, from Krishna. If that's the case, I think the mental attitude towards the opportunity, towards the job, should be a mental attitude of surrender, a mental attitude of service, right? I can think every single day, thank you, Gurudev, for this opportunity, right? Give me the strength today to represent you. Give me the strength today to do a good job. Give me the strength today to engage with the material energy and think of you, think of Krishna, and don't be lured by this material energy, right? Instead, see this material energy as part of your energy, as one of your main energetic transformations, right? And may I do everything under your guidance, so I can provide for my wife. He has a girlfriend, for my future wife, so I can provide for my family, so I can contribute to your, to the preaching programs that your servant, that my Gurudev has inspired so many disciples to engage in here in the West and in India and other parts of the country. I think that is a better, more productive way to look for those in that position. And I consider myself very much in that position. I have a job, I have a family, I have kids. It's a more productive way to go with the flow, right? To see things as Krishna's blessing, as Guru's blessings, and be always under guidance, asking, please help me. I want to serve. I want to engage. You have given me this opportunity, Gurudev. You have given me this blessing. So how can I continue to engage to serve you? Can I continue to engage to develop, love and affection, to develop this Krishna consciousness, where I can see everything and everybody in connection to you, in relationship to you. Within Varnashram Dharma, you have the 4 ashrams, right? You have Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. So Brahmachari, the youthful, the young, learning the scriptures, right? Learning the philosophy. You have Grihastha, when one goes into marriage life, right? Serve in that capacity. Serve as a husband, serve as a wife, serve as a father, serve as a mother, right? serve Guru in that in that capacity, to take care of its family in relationship to Guru and Krishna. And you have vanaprastha, when someone after years felt like he has done his duty, his or her duty. The kids are grown, they're living their lives, so you can devote more and more of your time to spiritual activities. And finally, one can go into sannyasi, which is becoming a full-time, a fully engaged, 100% of the time engaged in spiritual activities, in preaching, in mastering this understanding of Krishna consciousness. And I think it's a very smooth, natural process that can happen naturally in one's life according to Krishna, to Guru and Krishna's plan, and based on the desires the individual hold for his or her own future, right, in relationship to the Krishna consciousness process. I think is something important to think about, because a lot of times we are our worst enemies, because we look at blessings and we recognize those blessings. It's easy to initially see it as a blessing, but once time goes by and you become more familiar with the situation and the responsibilities start hitting you, we see the temple life or the ashram life as kind of a quote-unquote escape, right? As a relief, as a time away from that is from what is bringing me stress, which is the responsibility of work, of family life, of everything else. And I think that mental attitude literally puts us against the current. And I wish to go with the current. I wish to see everything in relationship to Krishna, because the reality is, and what Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, the Vedic scriptures present, Krishna is the only controller, the only doer. Everything and everybody is part of him. He's making everything, giving momentum to everything according to our desires, according to what we have desires to ourselves, right? We desire to enjoy, to be the center of our own existence. Therefore, Krishna manifested this material existence, gave momentum so the material elements can take place and we can experience the result of what we have desired, right? But we're not doing it. We're desiring, and material nature, Krishna's energy is giving momentum to it, and is bringing the cooperative components and making things manifest in a way that I can experience through this material sense, the material senses. But it's important to understand that everything is part of the Absolute. Everything is part of Krishna. He is the central point of existence. And with that mentality, I can engage in my spiritual life. I can engage in my material life and seeing everything in connection to Krishna, and try to act in a mood of service. And I can create the path that will lead to the perfect practice that I'm looking for, to the perfect practice that Guru Krishna wished for us, right? Which is diminishing of material engagement, of material activities, and the enhancing of spiritual activities. We can only get here from where we stand, right? And the reality is, right now, I'm very much here, engaged with material activities, engaged with a career, with family, with everything else. So I can step by step, with the right mental attitude, move in the direction of what I desire, which is the enhancement of my spiritual activity. And with that mental attitude, I can see, instead of seeing the material activities as a barrier or a hinder to my spiritual development, I see as an opportunity to engage more and more in service. Because the reality is, Krishna is self-fulfilled. Krishna doesn't need anything. What he wants what we want. He wants us to be happy, and we want to be happy. And the way that we will fully be satisfied is by being properly situated in consciousness, right? And that consciousness will lead to the proper action. I always remember of an example of something that Srila Prabhupada talks about, which is the example of a devotee and a materialistic person, and the activities that they're performing. The devotee might be eating the apple, and the materialistic person might be eating the apple. And externally, to the material eye, they look exactly the same. But internally, their mental attitude, their mood is completely different. One sees the apple looks at the apple and wishes to offer it back to its source, right? Because he understands that I have nothing to offer you. Everything is already yours, right? So since by your grace I came to have possession of this, I do not wish to enjoy separate from you. I offer it back to you. And in that mood, when he engages and enjoys that apple, he's enjoying something that is connected with transcendence and is properly situated. Now, the materialistic person looks at the apple and sees the apple as a fruit of his or her work, of his or her doing. And when they enjoy to please and satisfy their senses. And that is illusion. That in the absolute consideration, right? In the apparent consideration, one might say, what is wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. That person did work hard to do all those things. It's true, but in the absolute consideration, you know that is not really true. They did not work hard. They were forced by material nature to engage according to their karma, and that engagement brought as a result that apple. But the one behind, the energy behind all that, it's none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So that's what I want to share in this video. I think it's important to think about it, to think where I am, to where I'm at, what things do I have in my life, and how can I look at those things as blessings, and how can I connect all these blessings to its proper source and engage in a way that I'm either going to develop more attachment to it, seeing in connection to Krishna, or I'm going to become detached from it because I'm also moving in the direction of that source, in the direction of service to that source, to that absolute truth. All right? Thank you very much for your time and attention. And as I always say, until next time, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.
The chief result of chanting this Hare Krishna is to get Krishna Prema. You understand? Chief result. Mukhya pothe jiva pai Krishna Prema dhana. That is the chief result of chanting Hare Krishna. If your chanting is pure, offenseless, niraparadhanam laile pai Krishna Prema. If you are chanting offenselessly, then that is pure name. That must give you Krishna Prema.